In football, talent is the easiest thing to notice. You can see it in the first touch, in the confidence, in the way a teenager walks under the pitch like he owns it. But talent is also the easiest thing to lose, because football doesn't reward potential, it rewards discipline, consistency and mental strength. And sometimes the brightest stars don't fade slowly, they just burn out. Today we're talking about the players who had everything to dominate their generation and somehow never did. Let's start with one of the most controversial talents football has ever seen. Of course, you know who I'm talking about. This is Mario Balotelli. When Mario broke into Inter's first team in 2007, he was just 17 years old. Physically dominant, technically gifted, fearless in big moments. By 20, he had already won 3 Serie A titles with Inter and was part of the 2009 and 10 treble-winning squad under Jose Mourinho. 2010, he moved to Manchester City. This is where the world truly saw his potential. During the 2011 and 2012 season, he scored 13 Premier League goals and played a key role in the City's history title win, including assisting Sergio Aguero 93-20 goal that secured the championship. Then came Euro 2012. 2 goals against Germany in the semi-final, that iconic celebration, standing still, muscle flexed. He finished the tournament with 3 goals and was named in the team of the tournament. In 21, he looked like Italy's next striker. Mario Balotelli's career statistics including 231 goal plus assists in 537 matches. But here's where the story changes. Balotelli's career was never destroyed by lack of ability. It was instability. At Manchester City, he clashed repeatedly with Roberto Mancini. Training ground incidents became headlines. Off-field controversies overshadowed performances. In 2013, he returned to AC Milan and had a strong first half season, scoring 12 goals in 13 Serie A matches. It looked like a reset. But then came Liverpool in 2014, and that move changed everything. He scored just 1 Premier League goal for Liverpool. Confidence dropped and work rate was questioned. Managers stopped trusting him. From there, his career became a series of short-term moves. To Nice, Marseille, Brescia, Monza, Sion, Adana Demirspor. Instead of leading Champions League teams, he was moving between mid-table and lower-tier clubs. The ability was still there in flashes, but consistency never was. Balotelli is now in his 30s, and instead of being remembered as one of the greatest strikers of his era, he's remembered as the football's biggest what-if. Not because he wasn't good enough, but because talent alone couldn't control the chaos around him. Now Dele Alli, from wunderkind to lost potential. When Dele Alli burst onto the Premier League scene with Tottenham Hotspur in 2015, he was just 19 years old. Immediately, he looked different. Expectational special awareness, ghosting into the box and clinical finishing. Operating as a second striker, he combined high-level confidence with brilliant link-up play. By 2015-16 season, he scored 10 Premier League goals in 32 appearances, a huge output for a teenager. The following season, 2016 and 17, was even better. He scored 18 goals in 37 league appearances and was named Young Player of the Year and was called up to the England national team for Euro 2016. He looked unstoppable. His career statistics, including 179 goals and assists in 423 matches. He was England's young star in sports, creative engine, linking midfield and attack perfectly. But then things changed. Injuries, confidence issues, and constant tactical shifts under multiple managers slowed his momentum. Mauricio Pochettino, who nurtured him, left Spurs, and Ali struggled to adapt to new systems. 2019 and 20s only 7 goals in 36 appearances. In 2020 and 2021, injuries and poor form reduced him further. By 2022, under Antonio Conte, he was barely starting games. A move to Everton in 2022 was meant to restart his career, but it didn't. Just 3 goals in 30 appearances. He struggled to recapture the confidence that once made him one of the brightest young stars in Europe. Alli is a prime example of how football's trajectory can derail, not because of lack of talent, but because football is a psychology, opportunity, and timing as much as skill. At 29, he still has technical ability and flashes of brilliance, but the future English superstar image has faded. In 2019, the entire football world was talking about one name, Joao Felix. At just 19 years old, he exploded onto the scene with Benfica. In his first full season, he scored 20 goals in 43 matches across all competitions. In Europa League quarterfinals against Frankfurt, he scored a hat-trick, becoming the youngest player ever to do it in this competition. His style was elegant, creative, almost effortless. He wasn't a classic striker, not a quiet winger either. He was a modern attacking talent, drifting between lines, creating and scoring. Within months, the hype exploded, and then came the transfer. In summer 2019, Atletico Madrid paid 126 million for him, making Felix one of the most expensive transfers in football history. He was brought in as the long-term replacement for Antoine Griezmann. 19, he was supposed to become the new face of the club, but things never truly clicked. Atletico, under Diego Simeone, played defensive, structured football, the opposite of the free, creative style that made Felix special. Across several seasons in Spain, he showed flashes of brilliance, but never the dominance people expected. His career statistics included 164 goals and assists in 369 matches. For a player who has cost over 120 millions, those numbers were far below expectations. After struggling for consistency in Atletico, Felix's career turned into a series of moves. Loans to Chelsea and later to Barcelona. At Barcelona, he had some promising moments, including scoring against Atletico Madrid, but the club never made the move permanent. Then came another twist. By the mid-2020s, Felix has already left the core of European elite football and moved to Al Nassr. Still talented and still technical, but far from the Ballon d'Or conversations people once imagined. Joao Felix might be the perfect example of modern football pressure. Too much hype, too much big of the transfer fee, too many expectations too early. He was never a bad player, but when you labeled the next global superstar at 19, being just good suddenly feels like failure. And that's how a wunderkind becomes one of the football's biggest unfinished stories. Bojan Krcic. Before the world knew the name Messi inside Barcelona's academy, but there was another prodigy everyone was talking about. La Masia, he was unstoppable. He reportedly scored over 800 goals in Barcelona's youth system, breaking scoring records that had previously belonged to players like Lionel Messi. Coaches described him as a natural finisher, calm, intelligent, always in the right place. In 2007, at just 17 years old, he debuted for Barcelona first team, and he delivered immediately. In his first season, Bojan scored 12 goals in all competitions, becoming one of the youngest goal scorers in Barcelona history. For a teenager surrounded by stars like Ronaldinho and later playing under Pep Guardiola, that was extraordinary. Many believed that Barcelona had found another generational talent. His career statistics including 133 goals and assists in 452 matches and only 1 international appearance. Numbers that look solid, but far from what people expected when he was a teenager. The problem wasn't ability, it was pressure. From the moment Bojan arrived in the first team, he was constantly compared to Messi. Every performance was analyzed, every mistake magnified. Later in his career, Bojan revealed something few people knew at the time. He suffered anxiety and panic attacks during the early years of his career. In 2008, he was even selected for Spain's national team for Euro he declined call-up because of the mental struggles. For a young player under massive expectations, the pressure became overwhelming. After leaving Barcelona, Bojan's career turned into a long journey across Europe. He played for Roma, Milan, Ajax, Stoke City, Mainz, Alaves, and Vissel Kobe, with different leagues, different systems, and different attempts to restart his career. But the magic of his teenage years never truly returned. Bojan Krcic was never a bad player, but he was a victim of one of the most biggest traps in football, being called the next superstar too early. Adriano, the emperor who fell too soon. Adriano led the Ribeiro. In the early 2000s, there was a striker in world football who looked unstoppable, with powerful left foot, explosive strength, a shot so hard that goalkeepers were often beaten before they even reacted. His name was Adriano, and at one point, many believed he would become the best striker in the world. Adriano truly became a global star at Inter Milan. Between 2003 and 2005, he was one of the most dominant forwards in Europe. During the 2004 and 2005 season, Adriano scored 28 goals in all competitions for Inter. His long-range strikes became legendary. Defenders couldn't push him off the ball, and his left foot was one of the most feared weapons in football. At the same time, he was also shining for Brazilian national football team, and he was the top scorer of the Copa America 2004, leading Brazil to the title and confirming his status as the next great Brazilian striker. Fans called him the Emperor, and the future looked unstoppable. His career statistics including 179 goals and assists in 423 matches. At just 22 years old, Adriano was already among the most feared strikers in Europe, but 2004 became the turning point. Adriano's father suddenly passed away. The loss devastated him. From that moment, things slowly started to change. His motivation dropped, his discipline weakened. Reports of heavy partying and alcohol problems began to appear. Inter tried to support him, but the situation became increasingly difficult. By the late 2000s, the unstoppable striker who once dominated Serie A was struggling with form, fitness, and personal battles. Adriano eventually left European football and returned to Brazil, playing short spells for clubs like Flamengo, Corinthians, and Roma. But the player who once certified defenders across Europe never truly came back. Adriano didn't fail because he lacked talent. He failed because footballers are human also. Behind the power, the ghost, and the fame, there was a young man dealing with grief and pressure. And sometimes, even the strongest players cannot carry this weight. Talents create hype, but hype doesn't create greatness, because football is brutal. It doesn't care how good you were at 19, it doesn't remember the wounded kids forever. If you stop progressing, the game moves on without you. Mario Balotelli, Dele Alli, Joao, Felix, Bojan Krcic, and Adriano. 5 players who once looked like the future of football, and 5 careers that remind us of a simple truth. Potential is the most fragile thing in sport, and sometimes the biggest legends are the ones that never happened. And that's my point. If you enjoyed this analysis and love football, not just the highlights, but real conversations about development, pressure, and the future, then be sure to subscribe to the channel. I'll continue to analyze young talent, major tournaments, news, stories, and absolutely everything about football. If you disagree with my take, that's even better. Let me know in the comments. Football is about debate. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate every single one of you. See you in the next video. This is IceColdFinish.